Okay, I've planned this. This is the tagline. Are you ready?
Okay.
Where we discuss if science fiction was science fact.
Right, okay.
Or
Yeah.
where we make up a random rule and then talk a lot of nonsense and see if what we think would happen.
Yeah, not quite as catchy, that one, but we can...
Oh, and we get drunk while we do it.
Yeah, I think you need to be drunk to talk about this. Drinks and Dystopia.
Okay, well, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Southern Comfort and vanilla Pepsi, which is such a specific drink.
That's horrible.
Yeah, not the best choice.
Can I try it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, that tastes like drinks I used to have when I was in university at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's when it's a drink that you're sort of starting on. It's not the best. It's not going down very well.
Well, I'm drinking classy $5 wine. I should have said it's a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, which sounds fancier.
Yeah, it does.
But it's not. It's a $5. Actually, it's quite good. Koa Cove. Is that right?
I assume so. That's good.
I forgot. I was meant to actually introduce this first. That was...
Oh, yeah. We introduced the drinks before we introduced ourselves.
I think that shows our
priorities.
Our priorities. Okay, so I thought we can introduce each other because you will never say a nice thing about yourself ever.
Right.
Okay, so this is Lee.
Hello.
He is a historian, a statistician.
This is.
Okay. You have to just listen.
Right, we're lying about each other. Okay, I see. Go on.
He's a historian, a statistician.
Not really.
And one of the most intelligent and funniest people I know.
So many lies in such a short amount of time. Okay. You're Tania. You're an animator.
The end. That's all you need to know. Yeah, Lee is definitely the brains, and I am the geeky person that is persuading him to do this.
Well, I tell you what. Explain exactly what it is we're doing, because I have a general idea, but even I don't really know what's going on.
You mean my amazing tagline wasn't enough?
I mean, it was pithy, and it was definitely catchy, but no, it didn't explain a single goddamn thing. So
each week I'm going to give you a random rule that I will place on the world. So the example I would give is, in this world, everyone worships one god, and that god is a bee, like a honeybee.
Strangest example. Okay, yeah.
I think it's a very normal example, but
the world would be the same, exactly the same, except they would just say bee rather than God. They would be like, praise be to be, or something.
Well, that's silly.
Yeah.
But then you'd get like the way music would be done might be different. You might get different culture.
Why?
Because it's a bee. That's for another week.
Okay.
That's not this week.
Okay, fair enough.
And then we'll talk about it and look at different aspects of the world, like science, art, and culture, and then decide what would happen.
Okay.
So I have a bit of structure here. I have nerd notes to keep this going. Okay. Well, I thought as well, each time.
Yeah.
So people could get to know your lovely self. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and then I'll kick off.
Okay.
Okay, but unfortunately, the first question, we had a really long conversation about this today.
Go on.
So I don't want to ask it anymore because I know the answer.
Oh, okay.
In your world, there was only 3 films. What 3 films? But we've done that today.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today, didn't we?
But then I suppose in a way you don't know anything else that's happening from now on to the end of this podcast.
No, I don't.
So do you want to seem really prepared and answer this question?
No, let's keep that. I want to keep that in the back pocket. We can throw that. That's a little bonus. That's a little bonus if people listen to this and this gets famous. Maybe one day, as a treat, I'll tell them my 3 favourite movies. What kind of a treat is that? That's terrible, isn't it?
You don't know your 3 favourite
Anyone
films.
who sat around going, all I want to know is Lee's 3 favourite movies. Wow, their lives are empty and devoid of meaning.
That's mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. My life is devoid of meaning as well, but it's the worst cliffhanger of all time. But there you go. So, what's the next question?
Well, I'm going to replace that, and I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Your 3 favourite television shows. So in this world where these questions are being asked, there is only 3 television shows that you can never watch.
Okay. So this is gonna be lots of dead air, isn't it? Because it's gonna take me ages to think about things, so I'm gonna have to try and be spontaneous and just say the first 3. But then I'll change my mind, so that I might moralise and wrestle over it for the rest of the show. But
your own dystopia.
But you might say that, yeah. You might say that. Oh God.
But let's not.
No, let's definitely not say that. Okay, so do you want me to answer this question?
I would like you to answer this question.
Are you going to answer these questions as well? I think you should.
I can edit them out because I have the power of the edit.
Brilliant. Okay, so my 3 favourite shows of all time are Faulty Towers, which for anyone, Americans or people born after 1985, it's a British TV show. Now I got 2 more TV shows. It's probably like Game of Thrones and...
Do you want me to pitch you some? Because there's some big ones you forgot.
Well, there's Breaking Bad, there's The Sopranos.
South Park.
There's South Park. Futurama.
Star Trek,
Father Ted,
Rick and
Blackadder,
Morty.
Rick and Morty, Red Dwarf. There's so many.
Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah, Takeshi's, that's a guilty pleasure. The Bachelor.
I'll edit that
Let's
bit
not
out.
forget that. I've probably watched more of The Bachelor than any other TV show, so I can't. It's reaching Game of Thrones level now, isn't it? The Bachelor, the amount I've seen. I know all them by their names. I know everything about them.
The Australian Bachelor, which I feel is a very different thing.
Don't say that. That's even more specific. The Australian Bachelor. Jeez. Okay. So yeah, so there are my 3 favourite shows are Faulty Towers, The Australian Bachelor, and Game of Thrones.
Why have you done that? Why have you done that to yourself?
I ask myself that every Wednesday and Thursday when I'm sat down for an hour and a half.
I'd like to point out, Lee's had a few beers already, and will probably regret telling everybody that.
No, the worst bit is I've had nothing to drink. This is me. I've only had a little bit. I've had half a cider. So imagine when I was drunk, what I would be saying. So go on. So what's your 3 favourites?
I think to understand how hard it is to answer this question, you need to understand what kind of TV geeks we are. Like,
well, already this is dystopian, isn't it? Like what we're talking about is pretty dystopian. The idea that The Bachelor might be one of the greatest shows of all time is a very dystopian concept.
I don't want to live in that world.
No, and yet we do, So,
well, I'm gonna go Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Because it's the greatest show of all time.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
South Park. There's a very big theme at the moment with my cartoon.
Yeah, South Park. I mean, it's brilliant. It's a good choice.
And I feel like the Muppets needs to be in there.
Oh, the Muppet Show.
But I feel like I could get some sock puppets and make my own Muppets in this world. If there was no Muppet Show, I could...
You could recreate it yourself with some socks.
Wait, is there a world where I remember the shows existed but I can't...
You made these rules. I don't know. And I love the fact you're imposing these arbitrary rules on yourself. Do I remember this? If you want to, you can.
Well, I'm going to say I remember. I remember the Muppets, so I can act it out myself.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so then the third one would be... this is a horrible game. Why have I done this?
Yeah. Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh, that is such a good one.
It's up there.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, go on.
Favourite villain? Right now, first one comes to your head. Go.
Oh, Javert.
Arguably not a villain.
Yeah, well, he is a villain.
For anyone that doesn't know, Lee has just chosen the
don't know
Victor
why
Hugo literary character,
I don't
Javert.
know why I picked Javert from Les Miserables. I don't know what just came over me then. There are so many better ones than that. Like, I don't know why I said Javert. That's preposterous.
I think that...
You put me on the spot. See, this is what happens.
Well, that's why I put you on the spot, because that kind of answer came out.
Yeah. Oh, dearie me.
Is he a villain? He's the police officer that's trying to trap a criminal that is a thief and what he thinks may be a murderer.
I don't know. It's this podcast number 3. Is Javert a villain?
Okay, do you want last question? And
Yeah,
then
go
we'll
on, last
start
question.
the
Let's
podcast?
actually start. So at the moment, this is just us waffling on.
Okay, so a very appropriate question, because also it's good to point out that although this is called Drinks and Dystopia, sometimes it won't be a dystopia we're talking about. Sometimes it could be a utopia or Midopia. Is that a word? Middle of utopia and dystopia? Midopia. It's just alright. And final question before asking the main question.
Mm-hmm.
So your favourite futuristic world? No, not futuristic, sorry, that's the wrong word. Just your favourite, like sci-fi realm, fantasy realm, any other world that is not our current one.
So why is it my favourite? Is it because I'd want to live there? Is it because I think it's good for it's a good context for dramatic storytelling, or is it the most interesting?
The one you'd want to live in.
Easy. So the one I want to live in is the Wally world, definitely. Like, I want to be a big fat person in a big floaty seat up in a spaceship where they get everything you want on demand.
So you've chosen the world.
Yeah.
Where the world has actually been destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And an evil robot, voiced by Sigourney Weaver,
Yeah.
is force feeding you so you stay a lump in a chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing this all because you may get a glimpse of Wally, and he may wave at you.
Well, yeah, 2 reasons. Yeah, 1, I might get to see Wally. and
It's a good reason.
Wally's amazing.
And needs to be pointed out, Lee considers Wally to be the greatest love story
ever told. Yeah, so it's better than Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is a story of lust, and a story of adolescents
being idiots.
Yeah, that's the whole thrust of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, we said it, Will.
yeah, like
take that.
Yeah, we're really putting the smack down to Shakespeare, aren't we? Like, it's a sick burn. So yeah, but it's like, yeah, Wally is an actual genuine love story and the greatest one ever told. So that, and number two, who wouldn't want to be in a flowing chair getting force fed by Sigourney Weaver? That sounds amazing.
But when are you joining that world? Because if you're joining at the end of the film, they're now being made to slave labour on the dead planet Earth, where there's one plant that they've now based all their hopes and dreams on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andrew Stanton. Like, I love this film. I sound like I'm the director.
It sounds like you're having a go.
The director, Andrew Stanton, is one of is a narrative genius.
I know, yeah, but please tell us all the ways in that he's failed.
He didn't
fail.
fail.
He's should be ashamed of himself for his stupid story
about
stupid robots.
I love it. It's the best film ever.
No, it's all right. If you're listening, Mr. Stanton, Tania Vincent.
No,
who wants to be an animator is saying you're a load of shit and you don't know what you're talking about.
This is so going to be cut. This is never making it to the internet.
It's not going to make it into the final cut.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the perfect time to get to our next section.
You're right.
Which is the backtrack corner. So,
right, okay.
I'm predicting that we're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Oh God, yes. I've already made mistakes. I mean, I said that my favourite villain was Javert, so that's opinion, and I got that wrong. So facts are going to be wrong.
The backtrack corner will be so when we re-listen, cringe, and decide of all the horrible things we said wrong, we can backtrack here. So is there anything at the moment you'd like to backtrack about
all
this one podcast?
I'll take it all back. Everything we've said so far, I was probably wrong about all of it. Let's cut it and pretend it never happened.
Okay, so this week's Midopia, Dystopia.
Can we backtrack that again?
Yes. Okay, go.
Yeah, go on.
This week's question I'm posing to you.
Yeah,
okay, so the world we are living in this week is a world where every third person has powers of telepathy, has the power to read people's minds.
So a third of the population has telepathy.
So you're going to be able to ask me questions, and I'm going to randomly come up with rules, sometimes to make it harder for you, or I'll be nice to you.
Okay.
And then I am going to give you some subjects, and we're going to work through them and see what you think would happen.
That is very interesting. Okay.
So do you have any initial questions about this?
Okay, initial question. Telepathy. Is it passed on from parents to child?
Oh, that's such a good first... Lee didn't know we were talking about this. That's such a good first question.
Is that a good first question?
I'm stalling while I try to decide which would make it harder for you.
Yeah.
We're going into a little bit of the X-Men world here. So I think it's like a gene in you.
Yeah.
So if your parent had it, that would help. But it doesn't necessarily mean you get it. It's 1 every 3 people.
Right.
However that science would work, that 1 in 3 has it.
See, that's interesting, because it's so you're saying it's a bit like, there's no rhyme or reason behind it. It's not like you can predict. It's just what a third of all babies that pop out will just happen to be telepathic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said
so if
really
2 telepaths have a baby, it's not like they're guaranteed to be a telepath. Whereas if it's 1 telepath and 1 normal person, it's like a 50-50 chance or anything like that. It's just you can have 2 telepaths and they can have a normal baby, and 2 normal people can have a telepathic baby.
Are you saying that if you don't have telepathy, you're not normal?
I am. I'm being telephobic, aren't I?
Telephobic.
I'm being telephobic.
Which again is probably going to be something that would exist in this world. So.
Yeah. It would exist. So
I'd be jealous.
As we go into this,
and they'd know.
They'd know that you hated them.
Oh.
God, that makes things interesting. Imagine knowing.
Would they know before I know if it's my subconscious? Okay, well, there's so many things, so I'm gonna ask you a question. So, First one is the science behind this. So, first subject is science. So, could this be possible in our world? So, some weeks I might ask you something, and you might be like, "Well, no, our place in the solar system means this couldn't happen."
Right, I see. Okay, so
or it can happen, but not for a long time, or it could just be a different dimension.
Right.
But in this world.
Yeah.
So with this one,
yeah.
What would you think?
I suppose you could say hypothetically in the future it could be possible. Maybe there'll be some sort of mutation where we develop telepathy. Telepathic communication, I suppose, could be hypothetically possible.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that could, maybe, a couple of thousand years from now, 10,000 years from now, 100,000 years from now.
It could be happening right now.
It could be.
We just wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose unless they revealed themselves to us.
Maybe every palm reader is actually just telepath.
Yeah.
Is a telepath, is that what you would be?
Yeah,
You would be a
telepath. Yeah.
As you can see, no research was done into this. I feel like there's probably special
This is
terms.
why we need the backtrack corner or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because already we're like, we don't even know what to call these people that we're going to make a whole podcast around. But yeah, so telepath. You are telepathic. You are a telepath.
And how would science be different in this world for this to happen?
How would science be different?
Yeah, like, is there anything that would be affected by it? So sometimes for something to happen, like 1 week I might ask you a question that, well, we'd have to get rid of this law of physics for that to work, or stuff like that.
Right.
So is there anything?
I don't think
really
so. Yeah,
anything,
I'm saying that. I think that's why it is hypothetically possible, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
telepathy, there's some way you could read each other's thoughts. I don't know how it would work, but you wouldn't have to. There's no current laws it would violate, as far as I know, scientific laws. The scientists might be like, yes, you couldn't do it, but like it would be an
We don't
addition.
listen to science.
Yeah, scientists, bah, with all their precious theories. But it's I don't think it would be an addition to scientific knowledge, wouldn't it? There's nothing has to be changed or altered to allow for it, I don't think. So it could be possible. And it would have serious repercussions for lots of things in our society. So
what would the repercussions be on population? So every week I'm going to ask you about population of the world. So how would you think? Would there be more people, less people? Would there be a lot of wars, so we're getting rid of people?
Yeah, I think there would be. Oh, see, this is interesting. This is things you really do need time to think about, really. But yeah,
no time.
Yeah,
Decide.
no time. Let's just go in blind and completely uninformed.
Like I live my life.
Misconceived. Well, I would think, okay, well, let's talk about relationships. I think relationships would just break down because telepathic people would know what you were thinking. And how can you... So you'd have to... So
you'd have to date a telepath.
Yeah, but even then, like, you'd have no personal secrets. And what relationship can survive with absolutely no personal secrets? So, for example, when a girl says, does my bum look big in this? And you go, yes, it looks enormous.
Well, we need to discuss. That was a very quick answer. A very quick idea. You were like, oh, we would break up.
Yeah, like, no honesty. Jesus. It's got to be very sugar-coated honesty, and it's got to be very specific. You can't have that kind of honesty all the time. Like, relationships would break down.
They would break down initially, but then we would find a way to reform it, don't you think? Or do you think it would just separate society into people that had telepathy and people that didn't?
I think that would happen. I think telepathic people would become like...
Congregate together.
They would be the dominant race. We would
we're
all be slaves. Yeah, we would be slaves to the telepaths.
And we could never plan against them.
But like, we can hear you. We can hear exactly what you're thinking. It would be like the time machine. You know, you have the Morlocks and the Eloi, or whatever it is. It would be like that. All us non-telepaths would just be a slave race to just bent to their will because they.
But would they want it?
Yeah.
This is revealing more about you than them, I feel.
It really is, isn't it? Because the argument would be made that they're the next stage in evolution and that they're more advanced and more evolved than us.
But I'd agree.
We're all subhumans. Exactly. So they'd use the subhuman argument, and as we know, there's nothing people like more than being told they're better than everyone else.
But what if those people are breeding, their children aren't necessarily telepaths, so wouldn't you think that would make people more likely to be kinder towards it after the first generation? When they realised, oh crap, like my children are going to suffer because they're not telepaths.
Well, that's why I was asking you about the things. I thought, my first thought was like, they're going to take us all. They're going to take us over. They're going to kill us all. And it's a bit
like The Handmaid's Tale. Because if you think about The Handmaid's Tale, that's not going to last many generations. When it gets to the point where their children are the ones that can have children or not. Yeah. This is not going to make any sense if you've not seen The Handmaid's Tale. But it's a dystopian future where only some women can have children, and those women are kind of enslaved to have babies for other people.
Yeah.
So, but when those babies of the people that are considered the elite can't have children, but a few of them can, are they going to be okay with those girls now becoming the slaves? I don't think they would be. I think eventually, when it comes to children, it's hard to ignore stuff like that. I think the society would actually soften after the first generation when they realised their babies were also not.
But how does a group of people who can read your mind know everything you're thinking? How can they coexist with you? Because just think about a normal day-to-day scenario. They have the upper hand in everything, in every discussion, in every debate, in every negotiation, in everything. They have the upper hand. They know exactly what you're thinking. They can go to they can play cards against you. Go to casinos. They'll know exactly what cards you've got. They'll always win. they'll win every game. So even if they didn't do it, even if it wasn't an organised campaign to take over, they would dominate all the highest positions because they just got a massive advantage over everyone else.
I suppose realistically though, what would actually happen is if you got telepathy, like even right now, we're in a quiet house, it's just us two, but we have neighbours. It would be so noisy. You could hear everything. You could hear everyone's thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
Imagine being in a train station or something. I don't think it's...
Can telepaths read other telepaths' minds? Because that would be an interesting one, because then telepaths would all know exactly what each other were thinking as well. So
they could just talk. You'd have TV shows
whole
where everyone just sat there just looking at the screen and everyone else just sat there watching it and everyone was talking, but you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't need mass communication anymore because they could just...
Well, it depends. It depends on the rules,
yeah,
isn't it?
And
the distance.
Yeah, distance. Can you only talk to somebody in a room?
God, it would suck, wouldn't it? You go on a date with someone and they'd be like, oh, we had a nice time. And you'd be like, no, we didn't. You're lying, I can hear. The next one then, I suppose we've already touched on this, is inventions. So what inventions would exist in the world with people that had telepathy? I'm wording the English that I'm using to word this is horrible. But so what would you come up with?
I think you'd have the Magneto helmet, wouldn't you?
You've got to have the Magneto helmet.
Yeah, that
Those
thing would have
look
to.
mental. We'd all look crazy.
How great would that be? Everyone walking around in
Slowly
Magneto helmets.
lifting it off and on. Do
Yeah.
you think you could do that as well? Be like, go away, just put it back down again and have an argument with someone. You could be like, not listening anymore, just put it on.
But then they just shout it at you, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, but they still have mouths.
Yeah, they still have mouths.
They're selfish, that's what they are.
Oh, again, I love the fact you're annoyed at your own rules. Love it.
So what inventions would exist? Yeah, the Magneto helmet is the main
Magneto
one.
helmet would be a priority, wouldn't it? You'd be like, how do you shield your own thoughts from a telepath? So that'd be invention number one.
I feel like I know your answer to this, but could you record? So if you and I were telepathic, and I recorded you on a video, and you were just staring at it, but you were thinking things.
Yeah.
When I watched the video,
would you be able to hear those?
Be able to hear it. I'm guessing no, like in no way, because but is it like sound? Is it like a sound wave? So you could do that? Because that would change everything. TV would change, films would change.
I don't think it would be. It would have to be like, in order for telepathy to exist, it would have to be like a quantum thing, wouldn't it? Like quantum entanglement or something, or there would have to be an ether of some description that you could manipulate or something. But I don't know.
Okay, is there any inventions now that we know that? Like science would now know that there is an ether.
Yeah, there's some sort of.
So surely transportation, some kind of way would be possible.
Not necessarily.
You're wrong. I'm basing this on nothing, so how dare you say that I'm wrong?
Yeah, it does raise some questions, doesn't it? But if it was communication through some sort of quantum field or something, or some sort of material that permeates the universe, hypothetically you could disrupt it possibly with some sort of communication, some sort of device could disrupt the communications flowing through this ether or however way they communicate. In fact, it'd be interesting to find out if there's any theories on if telepathy existed, how it would work.
Well, maybe I'll add that in. Maybe like next week I'll actually research
are there any theories?
the thing that we're talking about, and I'll tell you other people's theory and see if we were anywhere near close to our idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess no.
I'm gonna guess 100% right.
You think we nailed it?
Nailed it.
Well.
Okay, then the last section. Last section, and then that will be it. You won't have to listen to us talk random nonsense.
Yeah.
Is art and culture.
Right, how would art and culture change?
So, films-wise, you just get a load of films about a telepath loves a normal, boring human. What happens?
Yeah, there would be lots of that, wouldn't there? Yeah, there'd be lots of BuzzFeed articles saying like, what's the proper pronoun for a telepath?
I'd call them the betters.
The betters.
Because they're
better than us.
They're much better than us. We just need to accept it.
That's a very loaded name. The betters, our superiors.
If our person can read my mind, and I'm like, oh no, what if he's better than me? And he was like, I am. I'd be like, oh crap, he's read my mind.
We are the Ubermenschen. Like, oh dear.
I'm not one of them. I'm not saying I'm a better. I'm saying they are.
Yeah. Still very genocidal, I feel.
Wait, I don't want them to genocide me.
No, you don't want to be genocided?
I'm saying let's be friends.
Yeah, you might like them, but if you're like, you're our betters, they may be like, well, maybe we don't need you anymore.
Okay, fine.
Do you know what I mean?
Completely average, no more better than me.
Exactly.
That's what I'll call them.
I don't think you should measure a person's worth.
But if they can read my mind?
Yeah, they have...
What are you talking about? It's nonsense.
But that's like measuring someone's worth on how tall they are, or
Well, yeah, this is
what
true.
language they speak, isn't it?
Well, no, it's different.
Go on.
Well, I feel like there's certain aspects. If someone's a magician and someone's not like a...
Hang on.
No, not
Before
like a normal magician.
Hang on,
I'm
I was
a
going to
wizard.
say, are you
Wizards.
saying that magicians have more right to life and are better people than the rest of us?
Why is life coming to
Paul
this?
Daniels is a superior life form. I mean, that is true, but like...
No, I'm not saying... When I say better, I'm not saying they deserve life for more than me. I'm saying
Right.
they're doing it better. They're living better than me.
Why? Just because they can read someone's thoughts?
And they read your mind and were like, yes, I'm better than you.
But you're an animator doing a job you love. But just because they can read your mind doesn't make them better than you.
Oh, well...
It's just a talent they have that like I said, it's just because somebody can speak, I don't know, Catalan, doesn't make them better than you.
I feel like they are better than me.
I mean, yeah, we all feel like they're better than us, but...
That's why I just meant that I'd be jealous, I suppose. I'd just be jealous.
Yeah, okay.
But then it depends, because if I had a doctor, being a telepath, if you're a doctor, it's make no difference.
Yeah.
But then if you're a taxi driver, bam, they'll get me straight home. I'll never have to speak. Okay, what about food? Would it change food in any way? Food or drink?
You know what, I probably would, because, whenever you cook something, you'd be like, oh, what do you think about this? And,
Oh,
they'd be like, that's a load of shit. And they would know you've said it, so you'd cook it. So it'd be bad being a telepath then, though, because being a chef or being a cook would be really a painful experience unless you were really good at it, because no one would be nice to you about it. You'd know that it tasted like garbage.
that's really interesting, though. I'm starting to realise that I would just want telepaths for manual labour jobs because I don't want to speak to waiters. I don't want to talk to taxi drivers. I don't
So
think this
you've
is...
got plans to enslave the telepaths.
It's not enslaved.
Everything.
I'm going to pay them.
You're going to pay them?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good then.
What about drinking culture? Can you imagine getting a telepath drunk?
Yeah, what would they... Do you slur in your thoughts when you're drunk?
I have a question.
Go on.
Would laws change because
They'd have to.
harassment can now be in the mind? So, like, if you hear a colleague in work think something about you, sexual,
Oh, that's so interesting.
would that then be a crime? But you can't control your
You
thoughts.
can't control if you look at, a hot girl or a hot guy in a work and you're like, oh...
Or a hot girl guy.
Or a hot girl guy.
Trans. Anyone.
A hot...
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone is hot.
A hot somebody. If you look at a
You
hot
fancy
somebody and you're
everyone.
like, I'd love to have sexual relations with them, you can't control those thoughts. But then you've just sexually harassed them because they can read that. So what does that mean?
I don't know how laws... But then would laws actually exist? Because what you would have is a criminal on the stand and a judge would just read their mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd never be... all crime would sort of be solved. Well, it wouldn't be... You wouldn't solve the crime, but anyone on the stand, you'd be like, did you commit that murder? And they'd be like, no. And then the telepath would be like, he's lying. He said yes in his mind. And that'd be it. It's just like a perfect truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Lies wouldn't exist anymore, would they?
No. So society would probably be better for that. You wouldn't be able to lie and get away with it because telepaths would read your thoughts and know you've done it.
In relation to crime and stuff, I wonder how it would work with two telepaths. Whether you'd be able to lie to each other in your head.
Would they do the South Park mental battles in a courtroom?
Maybe a little bit, I suppose, because like people can fake lie detector tests, and that's controlling your mind to lie, isn't it?
Well, not really. All you're doing is controlling like what the lie detector measures is like your sweat, your heart rate, your temperature.
You think of a different question and answer that, don't you?
Yeah, it's just if you can control those bodily functions, it can't pick up on. It doesn't know your thoughts, does it? It just knows how the body reacts when it tells a lie. So it's looking for those telltale signs. Whereas, but you wouldn't be able to hide your thoughts from I mean, maybe you could. I'm making up these rules now that you can't. Maybe you can hide your thoughts from other telepaths. I don't know. But let's just say that you can't. They can just read your mind. Then they would know straight away, wouldn't they? They'd be like, you committed that crime.
So there's no crime now.
So crime's gone. So
would they be attempted crimes? Like, I hear I can read your mind, and you were gonna rob this place.
Yeah, it'd be like Minority Report, wouldn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
You have pre-crime. They'd be like, he just said he was going to commit this crime.
But then would pre-crime officers just walk through the streets listening to everyone, and if they heard someone thinking about a crime, you can arrest them? No, you couldn't do that.
But then you can be arrested for plotting a crime. Like if you're plotting to do something, you don't have to follow it through, but plotting to do it is considered a crime. So then I ask the question, if somebody's thinking, I'm going to walk into this shop and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to point my gun at the shop attendant, then I'm going to ask him to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to tell him to turn off the cameras.
So considered crime.
Yeah, so if you were actually thinking about it before you were going to do it, and a telepathic policeman was listening in to your thoughts as you do it, would that be a crime? Or could you just be like, well, people fantasize and think lots of things and never... Because that's the difference with Minority Report, isn't it? Like you have technically, if time is, all happening at the same time and we're just sort of moving through it, then you have already committed that crime.
Yeah.
Whereas with a thought, you're not necessarily going to commit that crime, you're just thinking about it.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, so dating would completely change. I do think that's right. Just because you wouldn't... Yeah, well, you'd want to be with somebody that you probably share the same with. I suppose there'd be people that didn't, but would you keep it secret? Do you think there'd be people that kept it secret?
Keep it safe.
Yeah. I would.
Yeah, I think it's to your advantage for people not to know you're a telepath, I suppose.
I know it does sound bad, but I do think that a lot of the more average jobs, like if I ran a nightclub, I would want a telepath as my bouncer. They'd say, how old are you? And they'd know.
Yeah, that's true. They'd know if you were coming in to cause trouble.
Yeah.
They'd know what you're thinking.
So police officers, you'd want them. There's quite a few jobs I think that would just be gone to normal, to the other people that can't read minds.
Yeah, there wouldn't be juries anymore. You wouldn't need a jury really.
Guys, all hail the telepaths.
Yeah, you've submitted yourself to the telepaths already.
I want it on record.
When the telepaths come for us, you want to be one of their familiars.
I will, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call them master. I'll do what I want. They'll know as well. They'll be like, oh,
they'll know straight away.
You're telling me the truth.
Yeah, you're definitely pro telepath. Yeah.
What about dogs? Can dogs read minds?
I don't know. Can dogs read minds?
Oh, let's go with only cats.
Can you read dog minds?
Cats always could, always have been able to, but just ignored us.
So that's why they're jerks.
Yeah, that's why they're jerks.
Because they know that all our threats are empty threats, and
you love me.
Yeah, they're like, they're gonna feed me no matter what I do. I don't have to do anything.
Okay, I've decided I'm gonna backtrack here. Yeah. They always say, I don't know if this is true, but they say that people that love cats have a parasite in their brain.
Yeah.
Let's say
kind of, yeah.
that parasite migrated to the human brain, and because cats had telepathy,
now it gives us telepathy. Right, I like that. So, rather than the sort of scientific reasoning behind, you prefer the sort of the semi-magical, bizarro explanation of a mind maggot that gives you telepathy.
Oh my god, I love mind maggot.
Mind maggot.
I'm gonna draw a mind maggot.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
we are nailing this. We've got this right down.
This is going to be the lost first episode.
There is nothing we haven't covered here. We've got if telepaths arose.
Called telepaths to begin with.
Yeah, if telepaths are called telepaths and they existed, we've already figured out that they'll have mind maggots. We've figured out that they possibly can talk to cats. We've found out that they really good at being waiters, and taxi drivers, they'd be good at that as well.
Okay, so
I
have the last 3 questions for you on this subject.
Right.
What is the most similar sci-fi, fantasy, fictional world like this?
With telepaths.
Yeah, it's gonna be X-Men.
X-Men, I suppose.
X-Men.
Yeah.
So
there's so many things that happen in X-Men which we haven't even touched on.
There's so much we've not touched on.
Yeah, that Professor X uses every movie and every episode of the cartoon, and we just haven't even mentioned any of those.
I feel the drink is our excuse, but actually it's just us.
We're just very poorly informed, I'm afraid.
Well, I think this is good. I think if anyone is listening and has some real, actual insight, because they have intelligent minds, unlike us, then I'm excited to hear people's, what, you didn't consider this? And I'll be like, I didn't.
No, not at all.
I didn't.
No, we didn't think about 1,000,001 things. We were bogged down in really silly issues that don't matter. Like
Gervais being a villain or...
Like Gervais.
Okay, so the next one is this a utopia or a dystopia?
Oh, I would say, if you're a telepath, it's a utopia. If you're not, it's a dystopia.
So what you're saying is it levels out to a Midopia.
God, I hope that's not what I'm saying.
It's a thing. It's become a thing. I think it's a utopia. I have faith that the world would level out. Star Trek's doing fine. They've got people that read people's minds.
It's not real, Tanya. It's not real.
Well, none of this is real.
Yeah, but the reason why the Star Trek's a utopia is because the writers decided it would be.
And because they had faith, like me.
Yeah, okay.
Team positive.
Yeah?
Team Utopia, that's what we're
Team
doing.
Utopia, yeah. Utopianism has always worked out very well, historically. So
I'm going to take
no
that as a
reason.
non-sarcastic comment and agree that you're
Okay.
telling the truth. And last one, would you live there? Would you live in this world?
Again, if I was a telepath, yes, because I could take advantage of non-telepaths, make a lot of money.
What?
What?
I was checking we were still recording. Did you
Yeah.
just say you are taking advantage of these people?
Oh, well, I'm going to use my powers for good, obviously, and maybe a little bit of evil, because I want to make money. I want to be rich. So I'm gonna
How are you going to make money?
go to casinos. I'll know what people's cards are.
Stock market?
Stock market, yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a way for them to know that you're doing this.
Yeah, well, you could get insider information, can you? You could.
The stock market would crumble. There'd be no stock market anymore because it's all based on what you... Insider trading would just be everywhere. That's all there would be.
Yeah. You could do like all sorts of bets, and you could manipulate people and things, and get good deals, and you could do all sorts.
You couldn't. You're a worm in this society. You're not a telepathic worm. You're just a...
Why am
A
I?
mind worm.
Why am I?
Because
Why am I a mind
you're
maggot?
lower than all the great people that are reading our minds that we will one day call heroes.
But I thought I'm a telepath.
No, you're not a telepath in this world. You're just you.
Oh, in that case, I started saying it's a dystopia. I don't want to be there. I don't want to live there. If there's a whole class of people who can read my mind and manipulate me, that's not a good thing.
So
I mean,
if
I'm
it-
already manipulated by people. Like, you know what I'm like. If I see an advert, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, I'll buy whatever product it is. I'll watch whatever movie it is.
How much money would I
Mm-hmm.
have to give you to not meet Arnie? Like Arnie's in the next room right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Come with me, we will be best friends."
Come with me if you want to live. Something like that. Well.
Say Drinks and Dystopia as Arnie.
Drinks and Dystopia. That's a weird one. It's hard to do.
Well, you change the name of the podcast so you can do it in a better Arnie accent if you want.
Yeah, can we change it to?
Come to the chopper.
I can do that.
Let's get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
You should do everything in that
Just
voice.
point to the house and say the bad guy's in there. Can we change the podcast to that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
So there we are. I think whatever we were setting out to prove, we definitely proved. Whatever points we were trying to make, we definitely made.
Yeah. I think.
This was a triumph.
And we got to drink some drinks which on a Saturday night,
Yeah,
which is
what do you want?
yeah. Okay, so where in the world?
Oh, there's
You
more,
can
okay.
see a theme to all my questions here. Where in the world can people find you if they want to find you on the internet? Where can they find you?
I do not exist on the internet. I do not like being on the internet. I don't like anybody knowing about me. I refuse to put anything about myself on the internet. But unfortunately, you put your entire life, i.e. my entire life, all over the internet. So
I should probably make some kind of place to put this podcast. Twitter?
I've heard the internet's good for this kind of stuff.
Maybe a Twitter.
Put it
maybe
on the internets, please.
Well, if you do want to find us, I am on Instagram. I think each week I'm going to do some drawings themed to what we've been talking about. So cats and mind maggots are going to be in there, I think.
Yeah.
I want to speak to Hypnotoad style. No, what were the things in future I want to stick on the head?
Oh, yeah, the green things. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, that's bad. I need to find that. But yeah, I might do something like that. But yes, I am at Doodlezilla. And then one of those lines on the floor.
One of those lines on the floor. An underscore.
An underscore. So
Right.
Doodlezilla underscore.
Yeah.
And
One of those lines on the floor. That's like the kind of thing my nan would say.
she's an intelligent lady. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, I'm currently we'll get a Twitter, and I'll let you guys know maybe next time.
Okay.
Yeah, if we ever do this again.
I don't know why we wouldn't. I mean, this was amazing.
That's sarcasm, in case you can't tell.
I mean, honestly, who wouldn't want to listen to this? I mean, the ramblings of two
well,
pretty inebriated taffs who don't have a bloody clue what they're talking about.
yeah,
Who would want to
Most of
listen
the
to
internet.
this? Yeah, come on.
Well, yeah. So that was Drinks and Dystopia. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Lee, for humouring me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Tania. Until next time.
Where's your drink? And we will
To
cheers
infinity
it.
and beyond.
Cheers.
Cheers. To dystopias.